I think he's changing that.
Okay, thanks.
Unless Garrick wants.
Mike, how's your warm-up going?
The pipes are getting there. I did some. Oh, we got a match here. Granger, Lambropoulos just beat Cherzinski, Christian in the third set.
Big Chicago win, right?
Let's go, Team Exmoor. Boom, it's all in the coaching.
How do you say his last name again?
Lambropoulos.
Rob.
Lambropoulos.
Thanks, Mike.
So keep your.
We'll take it outside.
Mike's mic is always on.
Yeah, I got a hot mic.
I refer to it as.
Mike, I'll be back in 1 minute.
That's a mouthful, isn't it? No pun intended. Rob Laboon, how you doing, man?
Mike, it sounds more fun there than right here right now.
Yeah. Just some days it feels like 40, some days it feels like 4. No, it's been 20 years. So this is my 20th year. It's the 20th anniversary of March.
Okay, Mike, so you'll introduce the players, right?
Yeah.
I'll throw it to you to introduce the players. Thanks. Good.
Oh, Patty, you can introduce the players if you'd like.
Now I'll throw it to you. I'll do the intro and I'll throw it to you, and you can just say where they are on the court. So everyone gets to hear your golden goal.
And it's Philip Rams.
Philip
Rams.
Rams.
And Mike Wagner.
Mike Wagner, yep. And I'll fill in lots of stuff around that. And then Mike, after this match,
Mm-hmm.
we'll wrap it up and go off there and then come back on with the next match that we're doing together, I assume.
I think so. Is that what we're doing, Coach?
Yep.
The schedule in front of me for the 6 o'clock.
Okay, perfect.
But are they going to go? Is the 6 o'clock going out right at 6? Didn't. Oh, so they won't be waiting. This is their break for the people that'll be coming on next.
And Mike,
amazing match point. What athleticism.
And there you have it, your APTA national champions.
Best match of the year.
Brilliant shot.
Incredible stuff. And it's sitting up and he's right there.
Hello and welcome to the APTA Tour. We are live from the Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois, bringing you the Chicago Charities, a Grand Prix event, which is the fourth stop on the 2022-23 APTA Tour, sponsored by the APTA membership, the APTA national sponsors Paddle Pro and Fusion, and local sponsors Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, Fusion, Wintrust, and Viking. I'm Patty Hogan, along with the one and only and amazing Mike Raleigh, bringing you this great quarterfinal matchup between the number 4 and 5 seeds, Tyler Frazier and Adam Morgan, up against Philip Rams and Mike Wagner. Mike, can you introduce the players?
Oh, boy, Patty, after that introduction, I don't know if I can do as well as you did. On their screen, if you're looking at your screen on the far end, the closest to the camera, on the right-hand side of your screen is Tyler Frazier, and the left-hand side, you keep turning it on. Okay. And Adam Morgan on the ad side there. And then we have Mike Wagner and Philip Rams on the close side here.
Yeah, Mike, let's take a quick peek at this section of the draw, if we can, and see how both these teams got here.
Oh, boy, Frazier and Morgan, it looks like they just squeaked through a couple of my good friends, Gerani Barnes and Mike Marino, an 8-6 in the second set tiebreaker after an 0-2 win over McPherson and Pohl. I had played McPherson and Pohl in a league match just the other day. And then on the other side of the draw, Rams and Wagner. Looks like a good, hard-fought 3-set battle against Bostrom and Iverson, and a 0-0 against some of Knollwood Club's finest, Chris Baker and Mike Shabraya.
And the whole draw, Mike, I mean, it's so exciting. So many of the top teams here. Do you want to go through the top of the draw real fast, top to bottom, and what our potential matchups will be as we progress through this? Well, I can help out with that. It looks like in the top portion of the draw, it looks like Araya and Parsons will be up against Kaler and Paul Rose. That's going to be something. We've got Humphreys and Hostess Konings. They are awaiting the winner of Compton McNerney, Held Smith, if that match has not been completed. Bottom half of the draw, top quarter of it. This is this match right here. This is going to be awesome, in my opinion. And then a Chicago team just pulled out a big win over Tomas Christian and Modek Cherwinski. Mike, you want to tell us about that?
Oh, I'd love to. Some of my members at Exmoor, Mitch Granger and Alex Lombropoulos. I'm not sure what the third set score was, but I was lucky enough to be sitting in the booth here as a fan watching it, not as a commentator. But it was a dogfight. It was amazing to watch that, and even in the women's final, there were gusts of 50-mile-an-hour winds, and yet there was only a handful of errors caused, and by the wind. And it looks like the wind has died down just a smidge.
Yeah, and thank God no rain right now, Mike. The court looks good. Who's our umpire out there?
Pat Layden is our. Looks like a change that we had, but he is he's one of Chicago's finest. He's one of our bright stars, and he does a lot of work with the league and obviously with the umpiring here.
Last season, these two teams matched up in Detroit, and that's where Fraser Morgan came out in second place, lost to Rams and Wagner. So in their prior meeting, the fifth seeds have the edge over the four seeds. Here we go.
Let's go. Quite a first volley facing Tyler Frazier's blitz there, too.
Yeah, that's Rams serving first, and here we see the Tyler Fraser return to serve out of that ad court. Everyone probably knows that's Adam Morgan over in the deuce court on the right side. And then on his way back in dark clothing, looks like Mike Wagner.
Patty, what's your predictions for this match? We're in the first game, so, I won't hold you to it, but what are your thoughts here?
I'll tell you. In 2.5 hours, might this match still be going? Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
So they're so tight, 4 and 5 seeds in this event. Morgan Fraser, I'd give them a slight edge. Maybe more than a slight edge. They have worked themselves into the top 4 consistently in the game, in the men's game. But I am a big fan of Rams and Wagner. I've seen them play a chunk of matches, and incredibly talented. Rams, you just see he's got every shot in the book. They're really fun, Mike, to watch because they're great. Like, they complement each other as a team. They have certain roles, and you can see Rams is going to be your far more explosive, and Wagner just is like the guy who doesn't miss.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great matchup. So if I have to pick, which I'll pick, I'm going Fraser Morgan.
Well, okay. I like that. That was my my pre-match pick. And as I think I jinxed it, as I said that the wind is not bad. It is cranked right back up. So we're seeing some Tyler Frazier. His flow is blowing in the wind a little bit there. But I love to watch now and see these. I think they were calling it the sidearm serve or the underhand serve. We'll have at least 90% of Adam Morgan's serve are going to be underhand. Philip Rams was already serving there underhand, and Tyler, I think, mixes it up. What are the advantages of them serving underhand, Patty?
Oh, I think it helps them keep the ball low. You used to see the high bouncing kick serves, and they just went right into everyone's wheelhouse. And a couple years ago, we saw a couple of top players, Durant for sure, who went with the sidearm. I call it sidearm, sort of. And you see some different contacts point, Mike, for the players. And it seems to give them also a little bit more time to get in a better volley position for that first volley with some of the players. What do you see, Coach Mike?
Well, I really think it controls the contact point of their employees, the strike point. Sorry, I'm still at work. The strike point of where they're contacting the ball. So they're at most lifting it over the net. They're not driving that ball down at their feet.
Yeah, what's the strike point for most of your employees?
Yeah, well, we don't know. They're not unionized yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, Mike, you are recognized one of the leading teachers in our industry. Phenomenal, not just paddle, but tennis, a little pickleball. You got it all going. And I'm just curious out in Chicagoland, Mike, how many people come to you for lessons and say, will you teach me the sidearm serve?
It hasn't, I have only had a small, I'd say under 3 or 4 players that have really said, this is what I want to do. And it was more, quite honestly, with injuries, where they were struggling with a shoulder injury. But it was funny, Alex Lambropoulos this week had been over at the club hitting an underhand or sidearm serve. And I quite honestly didn't see it much in his match there in the round of 16. But, oh, wow. And I haven't had a funny story. I had a guy who said, I want you to teach me to hit a spin shot like that. And I told him, I said, Tom, I know I've got the time. I don't know if you have the money.
Well, it's an investment in his paddle future.
That's right.
For those of you who don't know Mike Raleigh, you can hear all about Mike. Mike, I loved your Inside the Wires podcast that you did, and I got to listen to it a while back, and it's always online. If you want to get to know more about Mike Raleigh, some of the Northeast people don't know you like we do, and Mike is one of the highly regarded former president of the teaching organization. If you have a question, you just ask Mike Raleigh. He knows the answer.
30 all, 0 serving 1. Second game of the first set.
Rams and Wagner. Philip Rams is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Mike, and he's out there now. We've got Graham McNerney, left Chicago, went to Pittsburgh, and there's a group of guys out there just having a ball. They played a ton of summer ball, and Rams is just like a phenom. A couple years ago when he came onto the scene, started watching him, and people were like, "Oh, he who does he remind you of?" And a lot of people said, Johan Durant.
Wow, he's got, looks like he's got all the shots. It's fun to watch Chicago's own Adam Morgan. I think if you've met a more competitive person, I would be, I'd be amazed if there's anybody more competitive than Adam. The guy is just a bulldog. He and his wife are I don't know if they're co-directors or not at Birchwood Club in Highland Park. And then Tyler Frazier is the director of racket sports at the Camargo Club in Cincinnati. I remember when Tyler started playing, he played a season or two with Jason Love, the host pro here at Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois. They played 1 or 2 seasons together, and Jason likes to say they taught him everything he knows, so I don't know if that's true, but...
You see a miss from Morgan there, a rare miss, and I am 100% in agreement that most people think he's the most competitive guy out there on the tour, and believe me, this means the world to every competitor out there, but you just get this feeling when you watch Adam Morgan play. There's just an intensity to him that surpasses everyone else's.
Yeah, I really think you hit the nail on the head. There's nothing. A point doesn't go without him fighting for every shot. Wow. There's the break. Rams and Wagner to go up 2.
Rams and Wagner last season. I mean, they just had a great year last year, they're like one of those teams, Mike, that you watch them and they only lose to really any of the top teams at this point. They never lose to a team sort of below them in the rankings, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And they went out in Montclair. They lost a fierce battle to Bostrom Nolan, 6-1 in the third set there. Nationals last year, they went out in the quarters to Hughes and Powers. They had a loss last year, Short Hills to Burrs Doya. So it's like every time they go out, it's to Araya Parsons. It's only to the top 4 teams.
And I'm anxious to watch this match because I was calling the semifinal match at Tyler and Adam Morgan played at the Medina Cup a couple weekends ago, and I was like, God, how do you beat this team? So if they were to, this looks rather competitive, but I'm really curious to find out how to beat a team like Adam and Tyler Frazier. So we'll see.
Yeah, and Mike, you saw in that women's final, 7-6 third set tiebreaker. There's not a ton of separations with these teams. So that's why, if this is really close, it would not surprise me at all.
And even if I think that first set was a little lopsided, but the second and third set surely weren't. It was a dogfight, but Ray Murphy, a longtime pro here in Chicago, Ray J, he would always say that the first set was only worth 20% of the match, and meaning that if you won it, don't start the parade yet, and if you've lost it, don't, you're not out of it.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Mike. So, two best things about Adam Morgan's game, Mike. You know his game well. What are the two best things about his game? It's hard to just say two. So
yeah,
I would say on the spot.
I would say the competitiveness, like we already talked about, that kind of that mental aspect. I think that roller serve of his is so heavy that you don't see a lot of players just absolutely teeing off at it. So, they're playing he's not starting each point from way behind. I still think the returners have a bit of an advantage, but I really like his sidearm serve.
And that's a great point, because when you see it live in person, you can appreciate how heavy the feel of that serve is, which you don't quite get on the stream. And that's what Rams will do a lot. He'll cut in front. He's the guy who's going to make some aggressive moves to the ball. Little risky play, but a lot of rewards for his style of play.
So I think we're in a pivotal kind of early part of this set. To see here if Morgan and Frazier can come out on this game ahead. Big difference between down love 3 or down 1-2.
And Mike, here's why I made my pick Frazier Morgan. Because I look at this match and I look at these guys, and when I think of the top 6 guys in the sport of platform tennis, a lot of guys would have Frazier Morgan in that conversation for sure.
Well, they proved they semifinalists in the Nationals last year. Last 2 years. Okay, there we go. There's the break back. Switching sides. Rams Wagner up 2-1.
Yeah, I just think the development of them as a team. I remember it started a couple years ago, a pro flight match out at Fiddler's Elbow, and Frazier Morgan played one of the most unbelievable matches I've ever seen in defeating Durant and Mitchell, and it was just sort of the beginning of their incredible rise in this sport, and ever since they've really maintained that high level of play. And I mean, I'm sure when the draw comes out and people see it and they're like, Frazier Morgan, holy cow, they're going to be in for a grind to even get through them.
Yeah. I remember I did watch that match, or a good portion of it, and it was something to see.
It was one of the most, I really think it's the most amazing paddle match I've ever watched.
Really?
So exciting. Every single point, I was on the edge of my seat. Kind of like I am right now, Mike, with you. We're allowed to joke around a little bit, aren't we, Mike?
I think so. Just keep it clean, Patty.
Okay. I kind of feel like I know what Frazier and Morgan are going to bring to the table here. I think sometimes these matches, I'll be really curious at the play of Mike Wagner in this. I think he's going to be the wild card here in this match. He is so freaking good, rock solid, steady, kind of maybe underappreciated a little bit, because I think he's phenomenal. But again, this is another big time stage, first Grand Prix of the year, and he's going to get to prove himself here.
Well, and he's sometimes, not that he's overshadowed, but, you're playing with such a dynamic player like Rams that, he is a role player that's playing his role, which isn't the flash or the big, he's got a great drive, but he's not the same player. And he plays his role very well. And that is to be kind of the steadying, hit it when you get it, but understand that he is maybe the Robin to Rahm's Batman.
Oh, yeah. And Mike, when you coach some of the teams, do you have to identify who's the alpha and who's not with some partnerships?
Well, I think there's the problem is when you don't define the roles, you don't. I don't think you're maximizing your effectiveness as a team. And I think that sometimes those roles change depending on your partnership. And if you've got a player, I found that it was always, once that's defined, you can then really do your role a lot better. There's the left court drop shot winner that they always apologize for. Don't know why, but guess it's nice.
Yeah, you don't apologize, do you, Mike?
I fist pump, yeah. But I do think I think you have to define what your role is going to be within the team, and whether it's an alpha dog or whatever you want to say. But you gotta play your role.
It's interesting. We talk about Morgan, how, the strength of his game, besides his resiliency and competitiveness, is that serve. Yet he's the second server for the team of Fraser Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nice to bring in your number 2 hitter with an amazing serve.
What do you think makes a good serve in this game? Because you can't really serve aces. What in your opinion, what's a good server?
Well, I think the depth on that serve, and I think, sometimes I find in announcing we talk about height a little bit, and Morgan's not one of the taller guys out there, but I think that works to his advantage with his sidearm toss, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
He can keep that ball down lower than, obviously, taller players. His striking point, sort of like with employees or whatever, it can be a little lower.
Wow. Are you insane between the legs from Rams that came up a little short in the point, but he's winning the style battle. That was pretty nice.
Hey, Mike, that was a good shot. You saw the back of Tyler Frazier kind of indicating to Morgan, a few hand signals. What is it? What's he telling him?
Well, I'm assuming that he's saying the options are serve placement, movement at the net, and then potentially, is he going to move? Is he going to poach? Or is he going to fake? But I think that kind of that's about it. But I think it's great to have that communication between the partners that, Adam knows exactly what Tyler's going to do in order, is he going to help with the volley or not? Wow. A break point here. Go up 3-1.
Morgan jumps into that serve, makes it so heavy, and the depth of that, exactly what we were talking about.
He seems to jump into a lot of things. You ever notice? He's always jumping and grunting and.
His style of play is a lot like yours, right, Mike?
Oh yeah, I'm a little bit quicker. I've toned it down. Now that as I've gotten older, I'm now about as quick as he is.
You don't want to go too much airborne, Mike, do you?
No. I get nosebleeds. That was a well-placed drive by Tyler Frazier that got the volley error just off of Wagner's right hip.
Mike, another good shot of Morgan's serve there. With the grips, a lot of people will serve continental when they're going to go sidearm, Mike. What do you tell them to do, Coach?
I think you've got to go into at the least, boy, I'd say semi-western or eastern forehand grip that you get in order to get the topspin on it.
Yeah, that was a great camera shot. You could see the grip change from Morgan. That creates that heavy topspin that he hits on that sidearm serve.
I like how Rams is, if you pay attention to his contact point on the overheads, depending on the overhead that he's hitting, we talked a little bit here about the contact point on the underhand or sidearm serve. But watching Rams, he's varying where he's making contact depending on the type of overhead. He's either hitting a cutter that's a low kind of side of the head contact or a kind of more of a waterfall where he's reaching up and then spiking it down into the court. It's great to watch as the players at home. I think the biggest thing is that the majority of players, when they're hitting their overheads, have to be letting the ball fall into, that lower contact point because it's staying and moving through the court and not popping back up into a play, teeing it up for a big drive.
Sure, that's a huge difference from tennis where you reach up and out in front on those overheads and crush. Out here, you definitely have to let that ball get to you more. It's just another part of the sport. That's the waiting game, like holding your shot in a sense.
It also requires a little better footwork, too. You have to be probably a step back to let the ball drop.
This is a setup you'll see all the time with Rams and Wagner, with Rams, the player to the left of the two players at the net, and he's got just that incredible athletic ability and reach.
Oh
boy. But Wagner got his moment right there.
That was a great roller and nice and deep, and it's tough to get out of the way the deeper that ball is. And I always say hitting through that player's position, it's a clear example of why, because if they do get out of the way of it, then they have to chase it down. Big if.
Yeah, that was
in that
an
last.
unbelievable overhead from Wagner.
And I think that I was kind of busting Adam Morgan's chops there in the last Medina Cup. They're definitely the number one seed in fist pumps. But if we looked at the women's final, I think that there is a new sheriff in town as far as the fist pumps go. But I love it that they're. I mean, every point, it's like they're fighting for every point. It's commendable. I guess that's the making of champions.
Yeah, in their women's final, Mike, I watched a decent amount of it, and Nicolescu just has that amazing overhead that's really it's probably the best shot in the women's game right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I always joke around with Roxy and Nika that, when they high-five each other, like Roxy has learned to go underhand on the high-five as the match goes on because the intensity of Nicolescu translates right into that fist pump. And,
Just hammers it.
and Nika could get hurt on one of those.
But triple fought off one break point here. 1540. This wind is just wreaking havoc. And for everybody that's played in the wind, I mean, not only does the ball get blown around, but I mean, the paddle, it's amazing how it almost acts as a sail sometimes. And
You're worried about your toss up in the wind, and then I'm sure you've experienced where your paddle takes off
Yeah,
in the wind
yeah.
as well. Let alone your hat blowing off, Mike. There's a lot to consider in the wind.
it was interesting. They were talking about there were two rules that were questioned in the women's. I think it was a women's semifinal. If the hat were to fall off of their head or blown off, whatever the case, and I wasn't clear on what that rule is. And I believe it's not a let unless the team across the net calls for the let. But do you know, Patty?
Well, I've seen in this game where there's a thought that possibly a player might do it intentionally. It did not happen intentionally today. It was the wind. But I think, if it happens, play goes on. You can't stop play because your hat fell off.
Right. But if your hat falls off and I'm your opponent, can I call the let? I'm getting a thumbs up from
Yeah, I think
Rob
you can.
Laboon. He has given me the, I think we're right on. And then the other question, and this came up in the finals, was that hard overhead into the back screen that came, broke the plane of the net. And there was a break to go up 3-2 here. That was 3 games in a row from Morgan and Frazier. Don't worry. Those 600,000 viewers at home, we haven't forgotten about this match, but we are talking about important stuff.
This is critically important.
Oh, it is very much. We'll be back in a minute after a word from our sponsor. Paddle Pro. For over 20 years, Paddle Pro has been recognized as an industry leader in platform tennis. The knowledge, expert advice, vast inventory, and ultimate customer service will help any player find the perfect equipment to take your game to the next level. Paddle Pro is the only website to carry all platform tennis brands. For more information, go to paddlepro.com.
Yeah, they're a great company. Always amazing customer service and whatever products you need for any of the racket sports you love, Mike. PaddlePro.com has them.
They're the best. I know that when I'm in a pinch, that's the first company to call.
Yeah, so you can see, a lot of the play from Rams Wagner at this point. They're kind of testing Morgan. You look up, and it's Morgan Frazier. Where do you hit the freaking ball, Mike? Both of these guys are incredibly talented. And you're seeing, the respect that they show to Tyler Frazier out of that ad court. They're not giving him any looks. He's got that two-handed backhand that just became one of the best two-handed backhands in the game in the last 3 years. And, there's no surprise that Rams and Wagner are not giving him the look at that shot.
Yeah, and it's not like his forehand is a slouch either. But I think if you have to pick a side, his backhand is better. But again, I think with Adam Morgan too, he's got a two-hander, he's got the forehand. It's kind of no place to hide. So
yeah, he's got the two-handed. I think of Morgan again getting airtime. He really gets more airtime under himself on more shots than any player in the game.
Mm-hmm. I like what Adam's doing here. He kind of just comes back, and after a couple faults, he's just slowing things down. But we do have the wind at Tyler's back as he's serving, so that's got to be affecting the serve a little bit, and he's missed both serves along.
And he's gone with the overhand serve, which is interesting to me, versus the sidearm one here.
That's pretty athletic all the way across.
How chill is Mike Wagner, Mike Raleigh? He's almost as chill as you.
Yeah. I'm probably more nervous here in the booth than he is out on that court.
You can see sometimes they get in that I formation. Phil Rams just goes up there, pulls the Johan Durant, we'll call it, where he was one of the first guys we saw in the game who just went to that I formation. Araya did it as well. But that's the talent that Rams possesses. He's freak of nature talented.
He covers a lot of court, and and I like that Wagner just kind of, okay, I'll wait, and that was a great get. Wait and fill the hole. Where does he need to be? As soon as that hole opens up, he's like, I'll fill that spot. And there's generally a little bit of communication between the two, players, like I'm here or, on your left. But it really is, I think, again, playing the role of the backup and the setup player rather than being the prime time finisher. Back to 30-all after a missed overhead. Funny thing last week, Patty, one of the themes at the club has been that we don't miss overheads in all of our clinics, and I've kind of made that we don't miss overheads at Exmoor. And I was playing a match last Tuesday night, and some of the players had played and were having a burger or something in the Oak House, and I missed an overhead. And they pounded on the window and were screaming at me that I shouldn't miss overheads. And I said, I can take it, It's always it's a teachable moment here, ladies.
Hey, we can always learn, Mike. And the Oak House, that's phenomenal facility. Exmoor, you've been there 20 years.
Yeah,
You do an incredible job. And I love that club. And you have done a beautiful job with the team nationals and really helped the APTA get that thing up and running. And it's so juiced. And I know you had a great women's event out there, and I believe you're going to be hosting the men's team's nationals
Yeah, the
this
men's
year.
are coming back to Chicago, and the women's are going out east. I think last year we had 280 women compete, and it was fantastic. And I think that the good news is that I think we had 18 different divisions. So there's a space for all player types. So.
Get your team together.
Get your
Any
team
of your
together.
friends
It's
can
like
play.
a golf weekend, except we're playing paddle. You get 6 to 8 of your closest friends, and we'll have a great time.
Mike, I'm waiting for the mixed team nationals. You're my first
Oh,
pick.
you and me.
Let's go.
Boy, I don't know if that showed on TV, but that ball moved probably 4 feet from Tyler Frazier's right to his left. Well, now at 3-all, it forced an error. He was ready to just hammer that overhead. But instead, we're at 3-all, Mike Wagner to serve.
Yeah, because you might see Mike Raleigh or Patty Hogan miss an overhead. You just don't see Tyler Frazier.
Yeah.
Frazier missed too many overheads. He's that good.
And you had said earlier about Tyler Frazier showing signals to Adam Morgan. We're not seeing that with Wagner and Rams. They're basically Mike Wagner is just reacting to what Philip's doing. There isn't which I think is pretty amazing. Oh,
Rams wanted no part of that
he
shot.
was smart.
He's turned his back. He was going to take his pain if he had to on that one.
Wow, what an overhead. And I think they can hear that the wind is picking back up. We're into we don't call it the Windy City for nothing.
Yeah, Chicago has not disappointed on that. Kudos to
Interestingly
our-
enough, they don't call it the Windy City because of the wind. Do you know that, Patty?
What's the story with that, Mike Raleigh?
Well, you know, it's funny that Election Tuesday is coming up, that it had to do with the politicians and the hot air that they were spewing, and it was the Windy City from that. So I'm always teaching, Patty.
You know, everything's a teaching moment in life, Mike. It's just, is anyone listening?
I don't know. We'll find out.
So Wagner held there. They're, again, I thought Wagner would be the one to watch in this match. And like I said, I just admire his game. He just never goes away. He's super smooth out there. Doesn't give anything away. And we got Adam Morgan looking to hold serve to even up the score here in the first set. Quarters of Chicago Charities, the 50th anniversary edition from the Glenview Club. I'm Patty Hogan along with the one and only Mike Raleigh.
Looks like a new ball. We change balls every 7 games. Is that right, Patty?
Correct. Women's final, you saw Nika use the sidearm, and the ball's looking like it comes up off her paddle. With Morgan jumping, it's almost like he's hitting down on that ball, Mike Raleigh. Is that true?
It's
Or close. It just
it's
looked
close.
that way from
yeah.
my angle.
It really, and it's so heavy. That's the thing that you can't see on for the viewers at home. The feel of the ball coming off your paddle, and just seeing it live, it's different look. And you look at his contact. It is, like elbow height, and then he is probably jumping up another foot or so. So.
I mean, all you have to do is jump a third of your height, and you can execute.
There you go.
So, good shot of Philip Rams, about to crush a return to serve, possibly here. On the serve from Adam Morgan. We see Frazier showing a little fake, little head and shoulder move at the net, just to try to catch the eye of Rams, maybe on his return to serve.
Blame that miss long on the wind. It just, boy, if that ball gets up too high, it's gonzo.
Beautiful spot on that return to serve from Wagner.
40, 30.
Off that right side, Mike. Tough when that guy at the net's setting up on his backhand and you can pick that spot. Way to force a volley error out of Tyler Frazier. You don't see that much. But I love the movement from Frazier up at the net there.
Yeah, and, I think, Patty, one of the things, too, if you pay attention to the volleys made versus the volley errors, and I think the average player, when they're thinking about driving the ball, they're always hitting to space or hitting a winner. And I mean, I've never done it, but I'd love to sit down and say, what's the percentage of drives that actually are winning points versus drives that are being volleyed back? Even with the greatest drives in the game, the majority of them are still coming back. And, like you just said there, when they miss a volley, it's because the drive was put to a difficult spot for them to make the volley. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, totally agree with that. You got to drive and you're testing the volley skills. These guys are so good at the top of the game, men and women, that It's rare that you're going to, break them down unless you get that awkward spot at the person at the net. I think a lot of club level players would be well served to think that strategy, Mike, and I'm sure you coach them. How hard a lot of players will say, how hard, should I hit my forehand? It's like, what percentage are you making? If you're making 85%, do whatever you want.
Yeah, I always say you can hit it as hard as you can if you can make 80 to 85%.
And you just can never miss an overhead. You get one overhead error a season, Mike? Is that how you coach players?
I'd say one a game, or one a match. I mean,
Yeah, with the variety on the overheads out here and the amount of spins, you'll see an occasional ball, fly off someone's the edge of their paddle because they're going to hit the most amazing slash cutter, and you do see some errors come out of that. But the reward for having all those spins is huge, and it wins points at the highest level in the sport.
we're at 4 all, 15 all. As you predicted, Patty, this is going to be. We might be here a while. I brought a sleeping bag. I'm ready. We're here for the long haul.
Yeah, that's the thing. These guys are the number 4 and 5 seeds in this. I didn't think there was much separation in these matches. And I just gave the edge, again, to Fraser Morgan. Just you look at their results last season, Mike, and they had one blip where they went out in the 16s. They lost to Broderick Christian up in Boston, an incredible match. But besides that, they're really in the top 6 in every single event they play. And, like you said, they did win the Medina Cup recently, pretty handedly. Midwesterns last year, they were second. Philadelphia Open last year, they were second. Men's Nationals, you referred to their third. They were semifinalists, lost to eventual winners, Burris and Ordoya, 6-1, 7-5. But they just never go away.
Well, and you say they had one blip and they lose to Broderick.
Yeah, Broderick, 4-time national champion, Tomas Christian, who just had that incredible run last year before losing that epic match up in Boston. Durant and Mitchell pulled it out in the third set.
It's quite a blip.
Crushing third set.
I'd probably quit the game if I lost those two. Boy, this wind it's doing its deal.
Mike Ray J. Murphy, you talked about the value he put 20% on the first set.
Mm-hmm.
I put it 20% on Fraser Morgan. I put it about 60%. The importance of this for Rams and Wagner here.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think that depending on the team, you're right. Especially if you're maybe the underdog, coming out and making a solid start is important. Wow, that is one incredible volley.
Yeah, just look at those still hands. Just met the ball. Short volley winner.
I don't think he intended to hit the drop shot, but it's still a great volley, wasn't it?
Yeah, you just got to pretend you made
Yeah, own it.
That was his intent. Building you see right there in that shot, that's where the broadcast team is for CPTC, and back there and in the opposite direction is this amazing paddle hut at the Glenview Club, and it's packed. You can kind of see the people inside, and we have some diehards out here dealing with the wind in these conditions because they want to be right there front and center for this.
I was so excited that we've had such a great spell of weather that it would continue, but we were just a day or so short. I mean, it has been 70 degrees, 65 degrees, and beautiful.
No snow yet in Chicago,
That's
Mike.
right. We did have, about 2 weeks ago, we did have some flurries, though, that no noticeable precipitation, but you could see it. It didn't stick.
Yep, and another hold right there from Philip Rams to help Rams Wagner take a 5-4 lead here in the first set. Quarterfinal match from the Glenview Club, Chicago Charities, 50th anniversary edition.
50 years. It's amazing.
Tyler Frazier serving overhand again.
Love 15.
Again, same play. You see Rams just follow in his return, go over, take the net. It's just got, that it's just a thing of beauty to watch him move around at the net. His balance, athleticism, awesome.
So, Patty, I've talked a lot about the transition game and how much it's changed the game of paddle in the last I don't know, again.
Yeah, Mike, when you're my height, I had to play the transition game a long time ago. And I remember playing a lot of mixed matches with Dave Allmuller, Hall of Famer. And there were times where we would purposely just hit the ball and just, he go one way, I go the other way, and we just let the ball go through just to kind of change up the play. If a team was so effective in lobbing us, at some point we're like, all right, forget this. Let's go just give up the net and let's go back and play the baseline and make them work harder than they're making us work.
Yeah, I remember watching you guys play a mixed national match at Exmoor one year, and golly, it was probably mid-'90s, and he would serve and you would step all the way to the door and just let the drive go through. So you were like an innovator, not only a multi-time national title holder, but you were innovator, game changer.
I was scared, Mike Riley. I just was going out that side door.
Sometimes that innovation is from necessity. Wow. Rams.
Look at that touch shot. Frazier just, laid it out there, and I just love how Rams held that shot and kind of made Frazier believe he was going to throw up a lob. Quite the deceptive shot from
Seeing
Rams
a
out
little
of that.
frustration on Tyler's face right now with the second fault of this game, and I think potentially his fourth fault of the set. Got the wind at his back. Boy, I'd love to see Wagner take that same ball and drive it to a slightly bigger target. He's going over the high part of the net there.
Is that his first unforced error in the
That
set?
might have been a second.
Second.
Maybe.
Frazier serving. Score is deuce. Down 4-5, first set. Wow. What a combination of shots from Rams out of that deuce court.
All initiated by that great lob, though. You cannot discount the importance of the lob.
What a touch shot with these windy conditions. Pretty challenging to pull that off. talked about Fraser, his love of that two-handed backhand. Hadn't gotten many looks at all. Got the look, but little deep, little high bounce to pull that one off right there.
Tough to time, but I can't argue with that one. You know, you think he probably makes that 7 out of 10 times.
What a nice comeback.
We call that one the jam sandwich. Just heavy right in
Oh my
to the
Lord!
body.
What a comeback
Holy
after
smokes.
that. After that two-handed backhand miss. Another great lob, great touch from Rams out of that ad court.
What a get. And a great lob out of the great get. You know, and here we go. We're right back to neutral. You know, I mean, they've got what would be 2 to 3 winners, quote unquote winners, and now all of a sudden it's neutralized back.
I think Rams wants the ball, Mike.
I'd give him the ball if I were coaching. I'd be like, all right, go get it. And you see why. Starting to see the crowd is, they've got a couple extra layers on, but they're starting to show up now here at Glenview Club.
Set point here for Rams and Wagner. You know, Rams went big. He wasn't looking to follow that in, and Frazier wasn't looking to go in after his serve, really. Interesting. Untimely miss from Rams right there at this point in the set.
That might be the first return that Wagner's missed this set. And Frazier went to the rolling sidearm serve with the topspin. Wow.
Holy cow. What a sick shot.
Cat-like jumped on that thing. Like a fat kid on a free donut, Cal.
Hey, leave me out of this.
Back to deuce. Oh. Do you think Rams ever has a problem like, okay, which shot do I want to hit? Not which shot should I hit? Like there, he went to a kind of a chip forehand, a flat forehand, instead of rolling the ball or lobbing it back or blitzing behind it. I mean,
Yeah, he's so talented. He has so many choices, and I think that's what really distinguishes players at the very top of this game. You know, their early decision making on what shot they're going to try to.
boy, and that was a statement hold there. We're at 5-all now. They fought off 3 or 4 break points and a couple faults.
Yeah, Rams and Wagner have to be kicking themselves. They had back-to-back return to serve errors in that game, Mike, at one point, and you know that's a tough way to. You can't close out a set if you do that.
Mm-hmm. You'd like to see them bounce back and just kind of have a shooter's mentality and forget about the previous game and bounce right back here.
Mike, shout out to APTA Executive Director Ann Sheedy, who said, going back to our rules question earlier, Rules 13C says opponents call the lead if the other team loses an item of clothing. It must be immediate. We're referring back to the women's match where the visors were flying, the hats were falling off, and kind of happened at a couple key points in that match.
Mm-hmm. Wow, and I thought right there, Mike Wagner made a kind of stepped outside of his role and hit a cutter that didn't quite cut as effectively as it should have, but they ended up winning the point. Back at 15-all, 5-all in the first set, quarterfinal match here between Wagner and Rams and Tyler Frazier. Adam Morgan. That's Morgan's 14th fist pump. He's averaging 1.4 a game. Wow, that had to have been a wind issue there. Laser forehand from Tyler Frazier off the return.
Yeah, and Wagner got a great look off that back screen on that shot. You know, it's really fun to watch Rams and Wagner as a team. Instinctually, they kind of know what each other's doing. You see, you don't see them, and you don't like exchanging that much chat, but you just see that they know where to be based on the shots their partners are hitting.
Yeah, it is a quiet. It is a quiet kind of where they're, and it's almost in complete contrast between Tyler and Adam. Where if you, I don't know if you can pick it up on the, but
Oh, yeah.
you know, you can hear yours, mine, your, you know, that constant communication.
Yeah, I can hear it across state lines. Oh my!
What a point.
Shot from Rams right there.
30, 40.
You know, and I think like in that case right there where Adam or Tyler Frazier had the return, you almost have to, and I think it's the same role like playing with, and there's the break to go up 6-5 in the first set, but playing against, you know, a player that moves really well like Rams does or Johan Durant, almost hit it where they are, knowing that they're going to be moving and filling, so hit it to the space that they're standing in rather than trying to avoid them because you can't.
You know, that's a great point. I was thinking that when I saw that short ball, and I'm watching Rams up there, and he's, you know, just dashing all over the place. And I think you're right on. You might even have to just take a shot right at him.
Because they're always, you know, rather than trying to play the game of, you know, hit it where they ain't, almost hit it where they are, knowing that they're going to be moving.
Yep. So there's Adam Morgan trying to serve out this set.
That was an uncharacteristic kind of swinging volley. Tyler looked like he tried to do a little too much with that ball. Oh, jeez.
He did just what he had to protect his face on that ball.
Protect the moneymaker there. What an incredible get.
Two really good lobs, but you see Morgan backed up and handled both of them, hit them with depth, and on we go.
Oh, boy. That is a tough way to, it's a great way to win the point, but a tough way to lose it.
About 30.
Boy, Wagner
Yeah,
has hit two world-class return of serves in this game to force the volley errors.
Yeah, and you just saw Frazier moving before Morgan served the ball. He was just leaning to his left. Like he didn't want anything to do with that volley, and then there he wanted everything to do. And great dipping return to serve to force a tiebreaker.
Wagner lead 1-love the first breaker.
I like the move from Frazier. They're taking that ball up the line, Mike. He threw his body into that side screen, and if he goes cross court, that's a brutal shot to then cover the next ball. So I kind of like his shot. He just didn't make the guy volley.
Maybe overhit it a little bit. Yeah, I
Yeah.
call that going with the pitch, that if you get pinched and they're serving you wide, you take it more down the line where your movement is or the jam is happening.
Mike, do you grunt when you hit your overheads?
I don't think so. No, I'm just happy to get there, and it's more energy than I have to work. It's just too much. I don't swing that hard either. It's more of a groan than a grunt, Patty. It's
Got it.
the one game all or 1 point all in the tiebreaker here in first set. Oh, there were definitely Tyler's looking up and a little frustration with the wind.
Wagner lead the breaker 2-1.
That ball almost went out of the court.
Wagner lead the breaker 3-1.
That error is partly, again, the reach and how much Rams is covering. That Adam maybe went for a little bit too much. Boy. Now have Rams Wagner up 4-1 in the first set tiebreaker.
4-1.
Yeah, that's a rough miss right there. And you were just gonna
Uncharacteristic,
say,
yes.
Yeah. And he was going over, ultimately the shot was over the little higher, part of the net and not very much court to work with over there. But, that's how good these guys have to try to make their shots in order not to create any offensive looks for the other guys.
And I think that, you're looking at the conditions, and with two teams that are so evenly matched, it's okay, which team is going to be able to control and handle the elements, in this sport. I mean, a lot of times it's, how well are you handling the snow, the rain, the wind, and clearly we're dealing with wind today, but to this point, Wagner and Rams have been, haven't seen them have any, real miscues. I think one off of the drive off the back screen, but Tyler has had a couple faults that where the ball was just moving.
Yeah, when they miss, you just don't feel frustration on their part. Where you feel the frustration right now, especially from Tyler Frazier a little bit here in this first set tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Just an amazing move from Rams. Again, he followed that return to serve in, and he's got that wingspan. And all of a sudden, lots of set points for Rams and Wagner. Holy cow, what a shot right there.
The freedom of being down 1-6 in a tiebreaker. I mean, fantastic shot.
Yeah, and Adam prepared early for that and made Rams think he was going up the line with the lob, and Adam picked up on that, Morgan, and just slid that ball across court. Beautiful shot.
You know, I had a coach one time, he said, always fear the player down, expect their best. You know, because they rarely are going to lay down and give the set away. And we now see, okay, little slight glimpse, 3-6.
Yeah, and especially, Morgan Fraser. They're just known for being, like, I was thinking about, like, a pit bull, just like this ferociousness out there at all times. And, with all due respect to anybody's lovely pit bulls, but, that's kind of how I just feel that competitiveness from Adam Morgan in particular all the time.
And then we saw, well, game point in first set.
Mike, how about one shout out for Fusion, our sponsor?
Oh, yes. Fusion, a proud partner of the APTA. Fusion curates what's next in branded gear and apparel for your company, your team, or your event. With a team of dedicated industry experts, Fusion curates high-end product selections for customization with your club logo, team name, or corporate identity. We create a stress-free shopping experience with custom online stores and quick custom ordering to get the gear you need now without any hassle. Visit gearbyfusion.com and let Fusion provide you with gear to fuel your brand.
And Mike, we will be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel presented by CPTC.
From the heart of Chicago up to the North Shore and stretching from the northwest suburbs down to Kankakee. From urgent in-office care to virtual in-home visits, we're making orthopedic care available wherever and however you need it. Because while we're adapting our lives to keep each other safe, we know that new injuries will happen and old injuries will still linger. And IBJI is here to help.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. We are in the quarterfinals of the Chicago Charities men's quarterfinal match between Tyler Frazier, walking onto your camera view right there, and Adam Morgan. They just lost the first set in a tiebreaker to Philip Rams and Mike Wagner. We've got Pittsburgh representation going strong here with Rams and Wagner. I'm Patty Hogan along with Mike Raleigh, enjoying, just a highly entertaining first set here, Mike.
Again, Patty, I think we predicted it from the beginning that whoever did win this match is going to be working hard. And, if I were to look at that set, I said it before in the tiebreaker that it really appeared that Rams and Wagner just managed the elements a little bit better and seemed to be a little bit less affected by these 30 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts that we're getting here.
Yeah, Mike, I thought that that was a spot on comment, and I often say, paddle players kind of have moodies from time to time, and I felt like Fraser Morgan were having, like Tyler was having a little bit of a moody out there, and I think that it's no picnic for Rams and Wagner, but they just held themselves real steady there and kept creating opportunities for themselves. And I'll tell you, the Rams play where he follows in his return to serve and then just has this wingspan, big difference in this match, I think. There's very little that's separating these guys at this point, but that play from Rams out of that at court and just rock solid play from Mike Wagner, just 3 or 4 unforced errors in that first set.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it looks like Tyler Frazier's going to start serving with his wind to his back again. That might have been, I don't know if they considered him, serving second so he could serve into the wind. The prevailing wind seems to be at his back, going towards the corner of Wagner. I mean, he's not struggling hitting that heavy ball into the ad side, but boy, some fantastic play from Wagner there.
Yeah, just beautiful placement again of that lob, in between the two players. And you could see Frazier sets up, he commits to his backhand and almost turns a little bit. And there's just a little lane available, and Wagner's finding that lane.
A little hand-to-hand combat there with the volleys. It really is amazing how quick, and I really love to be kind of front and center for the women's final, and I was sitting in the booth here and watching just how athletic, and I mean, shout out to all 4 of those competitors, how good they are. Real fun to watch. And how, the women's game, I love how it's so, I keep using the word dynamic, but I mean, the spins and the paces and the positionings, it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, and we were in touch over the summer when we spoke about the news of Liz Cruz leaving Connecticut and heading out to Chicago, and I love that for women's paddle in Chicago. I think when you have one of those top tier players, it really will have that ripple effect on the level of play, out of Chicago area with some of the women players. I hope. I think it will. Yeah. I think it will happen.
Competition really, I mean, it raises the level of play. We can't, it just makes everybody better.
Boy, Frazier got handcuffed and came up with that volley. Mike, I know you probably haven't seen Rams play that many matches, but everybody is reacting to Rams' play here in this match.
Yeah, and it really, and I think that's a role that I have seen Tyler play, Frazier play a fair amount. And, against a lot of teams, that's kind of the role that he plays. And it's a pretty interesting dynamic to see. Now, they having to react, they being Adam Morgan and Tyler Frazier, reacting much more to Rams's play. And I think this is a big game here for Morgan and Frazier. No, there we go. They must have heard me. Better win it.
So gigantic hold for Frazier right here to start this second set. We're at Chicago Charities, the 50th anniversary edition from the Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois. Patty Hogan along with Mike Raleigh calling the action here on a lovely and balmy fall night in Chicago.
It's perfect conditions. If you're a sailor or a duck, I don't know. I mean, definitely not.
Do you sail in your free time?
No, I've seen a sailboat. I went to sailing camp in like the 5th grade. My mom made me go.
She didn't want you to bankroll on your racket skills, Mike, at that point?
It was touch and go. And, 12 and under boys, I hadn't quite hit a grouse bird or listened to my father. So she said, maybe sailing is for you.
For anyone who doesn't know Mike Raleigh Sr., one of the finest guys I've ever met in this profession. What a mentor, role model. You're so lucky to have him as your
Yeah,
dad.
he was one of the best.
He was. We had the luxury of having him in Jersey for a little bit of time, and he kind of was mentoring a whole bunch of pros at a club in Chatham and Center Court. And that's where I really got to know Mike Raleigh Sr. And I was lucky. I think it's a good strategy for Frazier to try to find Wagner more with his lobs because Rams is just all over the place covering the entire court. The only shot he's not going to cover is a ball over the right shoulder of, Wagner, but it's so hard with this wind to pinpoint those lobs. And Mike, I was thinking about, I talked about it, like Frazier, Morgan having a little tougher time or maybe, a little bit of a moody, but I have to say, they're the team that's hunted in this match. And I think Wagner Rams slight underdogs, and maybe, Rams and maybe Fraser Morgan are feeling that a little bit. Certainly Rams and Wagner came out really loose in this match.
Yeah, loose being not loose in the like loose errors, but just playing free. I think would be a better way to. When they played very free that first set.
I would exactly say that's a better description than loose.
I think a loose. I think in
loose can go a lot of ways.
Yeah, it could be. My loose is about 13 missed overheads and forehands in the back screen, but Adam Morgan would love to see that one back.
15, 30.
This is the first of 4 Grand Prix on the APTA Tour. Tour is comprised of 13 events, 12 of them live stream with a variety of vendors throughout this season. And the season is highlighted by Mike Raleigh's Team Nationals.
Yeah, I think so. And where's our next Grand Prix? Is it Motown? Is it Detroit?
Yeah, is that the Grand Prix? I have to check that out. I know we have Boston, we have Short Hills, Detroit. I think you're right about that.
Yeah, I think it's coming up maybe the first weekend in December.
Chicago Paddle, more league members than anywhere around the country, more paddle players, so many courts, Mike, and it's great that there's so many tournaments in the Midwest. Kind of has leveled out over the last couple of years.
Well, I think the APTA has done a great job embracing the idea that, that tournaments and we're having tournaments for, PTI nationals, the team nationals, just PTI tournaments and that are really for kind of the everyday player that they can get out and compete kind of within their skill set. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, you see the model for years in tennis, and you see it with pickleball, where there's something for everyone. Go to the APTA website and find out what's available for you to jump into an event in your area in the upcoming months.
Boy, Rams is showing a multitude of shots. He's got the pace, he's got the touch, he's got the spin.
Mike, do we have a winner of the Compton McNerney Held Smith match yet? Do you know? Do you have an update on that?
Let me check with my crack staff here.
Excellent.
Looks like
I checked
Compton and McInerney,
yeah.
they won 6-2 in the third set, 6-2, 5-7, 6-2.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
And that is after I heard that Graham McInerney, did he have a wedding celebration yesterday? I ran into his cousin at Exmoor in a league match on Thursday, and he said they had a family celebration for the wedding. So congratulations. Did you know that, Patty? You didn't get invited, did you?
I didn't get the invite.
I didn't
but
either, so
my
I'm
mail-
not going to
my
hold it
mail-
against him.
Yeah. No, and I hope Graham's wife loves statistics and platform tennis, because get ready. I'm sure she knew what she was getting into.
She might have had an inkling. I don't think she knows the depth of that. It's not an obsession, right? I mean, it's...
So that's Adam Morgan serving 1-all, second set of this quarterfinal match. Chicago Charities. Mike, within an hour's drive of the Glenview Club, any idea number of platform tennis courts?
I think in the greater Chicagoland area, and I'd say that pretty much you could drive, it's over 150 courts. I think they're projected to be at over 180 by the year end, by the season end. I think there's a backlog of demand, but I think we're getting close to that 175, 200 number.
Just incredible. You do have long winters. It's kind of an ideal sport.
That's
for
right. You know, I
Chicagoland.
don't think if we had 70 degrees and sunny for 10 months out of the year, if we'd have that many paddle courts. But, you know, it really is an interesting, and now we're starting to see growth in the southwest suburbs and the western suburbs. It really continues to expand. And I think for clubs out there, and as well as the municipalities, it's really a huge addition to providing for the membership.
Yeah, it's an amenity that clubs have to have now. You know, it used to be, it was about the golf course, which is still a lot about golf courses, but you've got to have platform tennis courts to be competitive, because people want it, and the numbers are just growing. And you know, with the beginning of COVID, we'll call it, just, you know, what that did for business and for the sport of platform tennis, it was the safe place you could be, and it's where you got your socialization and you got exercise.
Yeah, it was. I mean, looking back, and it's amazing when we even had to wear, when there was a surge, we had to wear masks outdoors and on the court, and it was an amazing trying to police that. I mean, with the membership and the players was one thing, but trying to do it was, I mean, that in itself was a challenge. But it has, I think it really makes these winters here in Chicago go by a lot better and smoother. We're 2-1 now in the second set here in Chicago Charities quarterfinal. Morgan and Frazier with the 2-1 lead. They lost the first set 6-7.
Yeah, Mike, this is exactly what I expected. Number 4 seeds against number 5 seeds. Very little separation here. Shout out to Ann Waldron, APTA volunteer, who's putting in a ton of work helping with the live stream productions from vendor to vendor this season, doing a great job.
Love 15.
It's,
That was kind of fun. We're chuckling because Rams hits the shot, you see Adam Morgan go up, and you just knew.
yeah,
Rams would be
he
just
hit an
waiting
overhead,
for
and
him.
he volleyed like it was a marshmallow coming at him.
15, 30.
Wow.
15, 40.
Mike, you ate dinner before you came on the air, just in case this went 3 sets, right?
Well, in the hut at the small hut at the Glenby Club, and I found a stash. If things go really long, I've got a stash of somebody's leftover Halloween candy. But there's 7 of us in here that are going to be fighting over it. So, I mean, and I
Shout
can
out-
send out on the bat phone. I think they've got the barbecue going out there. So if things get really bad, I might be able to get somebody to get me a burger, pulled pork sandwich or something.
Shout out to Riley Stulak enjoying the action from Summit, New Jersey with her mom and dad, Carrie Delmonico and Mike Stulak. Hi, Riley. Again, you see Morgan just jump, crush that forehand, and Wagner just was waiting there, perfect position. Routine backhand volley.
Boy, I really love that little slash that Rams is hitting from the center of the court back into the deuce corner, Adam Morgan's corner, where the ball's going in low and staying low. I don't think.
I saw that last week, Mike. It hurts my hamstrings just thinking about it.
Game, Fraser Morgan.
And,
Second set, 3-1. Rams Wagner won the first.
And that's what Morgan does. He doesn't go away, Mike, and he just put that, lob up a little bit out of Rams' reach. And, like we said, Rams got every shot in the book and continues to create some new ones, and thought he'd try a backhand little snap wrist, over his head. It didn't work out that time.
uncharacteristic miss volley there from Rams.
Yeah, little off-speed ball, maybe just, blown in the wind a tiny bit there. Just lost a little control at the very end of that shot. But Mike Rowley, how many times have you seen this out of Morgan and Frazier? I mean, and they just don't ever go away.
I mean, another great, you see a ball that is just slightly, I think he missed a spot by, a couple
2
feet.
boards.
Yeah, 2 feet, 2 boards, and Adam pounded that thing.
And Mike, that's one of the things I always noticed. I remember a trillion years ago when I started playing paddle and getting into instructing it and talking about how key 2 boards over can make a world of difference. And it's a really good way to kind of let club level players, really start paying attention to where their ball is landing. And, a good shot from a bad shot or an ineffective shot is only the difference of a foot or two.
And how would you say, what's the biggest changes since, you were an elite player playing the game? And what are in short, what's the biggest changes that come out?
You alluded to transitioning, the power game. I think the ball and the paddle react differently now than the old wooden paddles. I'm kind of grateful I didn't play the game with the wooden paddles. I think my shoulder and teaching arm would have never survived. But I think the winners that these men and women can hit, off of the overheads and off of the volleys, and that can end points from the net position is huge.
Yeah, I think the overall kind of athleticism. Oh, and you see like there, I don't know if you could see that, but I mean, that ball moved a quarter of the court was blown. It was in the whole way until the wind blew it.
Yeah,
wide.
and the athleticism, Mike, just lights out chart, and the depth in the game, really is a difference. And you look at some of these tournaments last year that were one-day events, and these guys are playing grueling 3-hour matches right out of the box. They show up at the club, and boom, they're out there for 3 hours. And just to get out of a first-round match, is really challenging in this sport.
Wagner.
Boy, what a drive. Both drives, if you notice where they were hit to Adam Morgan, he was able to fight that first one off his right hip, and then Wagner right back to the scene of the crime with that second drive and forced a volley error for the break. No.
Mike, and that's a great point. I love that you just said that, because I think oftentimes you'll see club level players and, they'll hit a good drive to a spot and then they think they have to move it, where there are some great spots off the right side of righty players traditionally, if they're not showing that forehand volley, where you can kind of spot some drives a little bit and, going back to that place rather than going to open court, because of, exactly the point about the athletic ability. And you can just see that showcased here by Rams, just all over the place with phenomenal reach and, hitting kind of vanilla versions of some drives, some boring placements, let's have it, not very exciting swings, sometimes can be effective. We've got two courts here, live stream, thanks to CPTC's coverage. Looks like Araya and Parsons are up next on the other court against Scott Kaler and Chicago's own Paul Rose.
Love, 30.
Seems like they've settled in a little bit more here. See the kind of the pace of play. We're getting a little more deliberate.
Rams and Wagner really have kind of kept Tyler Frazier out of this match in a way. He's not playing the role that you alluded to earlier, where we're used to watching him cause all this action and then watch the other teams react. Where it's settling in a little bit more, and I'll be curious to see if Tyler gets his shot at kind of initiating a little bit more of some offensive looks for the team of Fraser Morgan.
Wow. What a point. And you see Tyler Frazier clap at that one, and he appreciates a great shot. And I think, for Frazier to be able to, understand, too, that, okay, and I think he's doing a good job, as, they have silenced him a little bit, or just at least kind of put a damper on his ability to kind of take over the points. He's doing a really good job of kind of playing within kind of maybe a new role for him in this match.
Yeah, they're not giving him anything, and I think that's another great point, Mike.
He's not forcing it, He's not trying to overcreate and force it.
Fifteen, 40. Game, Fraser Morgan. They lead the second set 4-2. Rams Wagner won the first.
And I always think about Adam Morgan doing a lot of little things that you might not notice, but, just his tenacity, but like right there again, he put that lob just out of the reach of Rams, kind of had it measured perfectly.
And I think, there too is his quickness. If Rams feels a little bit of pressure, like he's got to hit a perfect overhead to kind of flop it into that corner, otherwise he's facing a forehand drive or a spike, he might have tried for a little bit too much off of a really good lob. Boy. I mean, it still is 55 degrees, and he's hitting drop shots like it's 12 degrees out here. A little frustration from Adam Morgan. I think he was going for a little bit too much. He got caught up in the moment there.
Love 40. Fifteen, 40.
Boy, a couple good points, good volleys to fight off 2 break points.
30, 40.
Yeah, Wagner tried to catch Fraser up the line on that shot, and Fraser did a really good job. Just was really anticipating. That's where Wagner in the first set hit a lot of those balls off Tyler's to the right side of him, not to the left side of him.
Wagner. Frazier Morgan lead the second set 4-3. Rams Wagner won the first.
Mike, you talk about the emotions that go into this, the amount of energy, and I know you love a game of golf when you get some free time off from the Exmoor Club, and I think there's a lot of parallels with golf and paddle, where like you have to temper your emotional stuff, and you get so juiced, and how many people have a great hole in golf and then screw up the next shot? I know there's a name for that, and I feel like paddle, you tend to like elevate your emotional stuff, but you've got to tamp it down and keep it in check, because otherwise you just all of a sudden the errors come in from being like having overly active hands, or you just get a little jumpy with adrenaline.
Yeah, and I think the process-based player, where we think rather than okay, let's think about the score. You try to be more process-based. That you're committed to hitting the right ball at the right time, rather than being kind of that was a nice drive. Being worried so much about the score that really agreeing or buying into the idea that if the process is correct, the score is going to take care of itself. Patty, did you have a hole-in-one this summer? Did I see that on Facebook?
I did get lucky this summer.
Wow.
The one time I dragged my husband out, I had a witness.
That is a fantastic thing.
Love 40.
Love 40, 4-3. Morgan and Frazier with triple break point here on Wagner's serve.
To your earlier point, Mike, where the game is not coming easily, there's not a lot of offensive looks that you're getting, that Tyler Frazier is getting out of that ad court. But you're right, he's totally playing within what the game is giving him, not forcing anything. And, this match, it's subtle little things. And we have a big turn, and it looks like we could have a 3-setter on our hands here.
Wow. Some good positioning and discipline to let that ball go.
Wow. I mean, 3 beautiful swings from Wagner. I love what I just saw out of Wagner on that.
It's amazing. Wagner, I haven't noticed positive, negative, any change of emotion at all in the last hour and 20 minutes that we've been watching this match. He hasn't, I think that's commendable. I'll be out there losing my mind.
Yeah, I don't even know if he sweats. Are you sweating now, Mike? I almost am.
I am, yeah. Somebody's got to open the door here. Anybody else in here? Huh?
This is the quarters at Chicago Charities, and it's we've got a long couple more hours of paddle ahead of us, possibly right here within this match, and then bring you. We've got 2 streams going. All the quarterfinals are shown here from Chicago, thanks to CPTC.
All right, Tyler Frazier was serving with a new ball. His first serve of most of the service games has kind of been his. He's had a couple faults here to start a number of games.
Going sidearm, it looks like. I mean, that's what I saw him do all last season, far more effectively and far more often than his overhand serve. But we've seen a lot of the overhands, and just didn't know what effect the wind had on it.
Yeah, I wonder if he was choosing to hit the overhand serve with the wind at his back or not.
Another beautiful touch lob from Rams, just out of the reach of
And
Morgan.
right into, yeah, it was right into the teeth of the wind there too, and just kind of got. It was a great lob. It was holding just out of Adams' reach. You know, and from a teaching pro's perspective, people will always say, well, how do I deal with the wind when I'm lobbing? And I always say, well, first you got to figure out where it's coming from. And then, you know, if I'm lobbing with the wind at my back, I always say just lift that ball straight up and let the wind take it. And then if you're lobbing into the wind, I always say hit that lower level trajectory lob that's kind of fighting through the wind. You know, not the high ball to the lights, because the wind will just eat it up.
Kind of like golf.
Kind of like golf, yeah, a little knockdown. Boy, was that 2 balls into the crease that Rams got back? What does it take to win a point against these guys?
Yeah, and that's where he had committed to moving in, and that was a great overhead. Kind of right at his feet, tried to come up with a little pickup. He might have been better served just let that ball go through.
You know, in November, I call that stuffing the turkey, Patty, that when you get somebody out of position up in the court, you just jam it right at their feet. And, you know, it's a good lesson for every month of the year, but especially in November.
Got a set point here. Fraser Morgan.
And there we go.
Second set, Fraser Morgan.
An extended fist pump for one Adam Morgan that carries us into the third set. Love to see how they were able to bounce back there.
Oh, yeah. And, Mike, we'll be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel presented by CPTC.
From the heart of Chicago up to the North Shore and stretching from the northwest suburbs down to Kankakee. From urgent in-office care to virtual in-home visits, we're making orthopedic care available wherever and however you need it. Because while we're adapting our lives to keep each other safe, we know that new injuries will happen and old injuries will still linger. And IBJI is here to help.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. We are in a quarterfinal matchup at the Chicago Charities. I'm Patty Hogan along with Mike Raleigh calling the action here. We have number 4 seeds, Tyler Fraser and Adam Morgan. Just pulled out that second set, 6-3. Rams and Wagner won the first set, 7-6 in a tiebreaker. And we thought about it on air, talked about it a lot, thought about it ahead of time. 3 sets. It was inevitable, Mike Raleigh.
You called it. I mean, you said we're going to be here for 2.5 hours and first match. And, you know, I think if I'm Adam Morgan and Tyler Frazier, it's really kind of more of the same. where we just found them settle into a little bit. I mean, they hit it at the right times and a little fewer of those unforced errors. And they got, that lob, like you said, to Matt Wagner down the over his right shoulder a little bit more. But, boy, I'm excited for this third set.
Yeah, it looks like Philip Rams will lead off with, serving here for what I think will be an amazing third set. That's my prediction, Mike Rowley.
It's a great first volley. You don't often see Tyler Frazier misplay a ball like that.
Mike, you referred earlier, we have so many PTI-based tournaments. The sport has something for everyone on tournament play. I think that the PTI is working its way out, and it's been a great addition, just like your golf handicap. It goes up and down. It is what it is. Sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't like it. But the greatest thing APTA has done in the last couple of years is just have these different events for every different ability level, and I just love the inclusive nature that the PTI events offer in our sport. And we're so lucky to catch all the live streaming of the APTA Tour, 12 events this year, and bringing you two of the game's best men's teams here, and Tyler Frazier, Adam Morgan, and Mike Wagner, and Philip Rams.
Boy, and it's interesting to see here with Wagner when Tyler Frazier's getting that lob to go down the line, how Wagner is hitting it deep back into Frazier rather than going into the two-hander of Adam Morgan. And I don't know if this is, maybe a strategy that, that's probably the seventh ball. And then we saw a missed forehand from Tyler Frazier. And it, and interesting there is that strategy rather than they're going to make Tyler Frazier's forehand beat him rather than Adam Morgan's two-hander.
Yeah, that's interesting. And we talked again about the placement of shots and how just moving a shot, 2 or 3 boards over will impact what your opponents are going to give you. And I think to your point, you kind of pick and choose. And when you have 2 great players over there, someone's going to drive the ball. So you just pick what shot, what drive from what spot you can best defend as the net team.
I don't know if Wagner's bought a Powerball ticket, but he has had, I think, 7 let cords that have either been for winners or come over onto his opponent's side, and I think he's had one that it didn't. But he's got that net cord trained.
Are you in it, Mike? Do you have some Powerball tickets?
Oh, yeah, I'd be crazy not to. Somebody's got to win it, right?
Exactly. I hope I'm going to win it. I went downtown in Ticonderoga today in between matches and was hoping there wasn't a long line and grabbed some tickets. Mike, if I win, I'll give you a portion of my winnings, okay?
Okay, you too. We have a bond.
Yeah, what is it, like $1 million?
Yeah, that sounds fair. Yeah. Anything less than that wouldn't be fair. I think that's a binding contract. I don't know. And we'll have to, if Philip Rams, he's a lawyer, right? I'll get him on here afterwards and ask him, but it seems like
I'm married to a lawyer. Watch out. I'll
Okay.
ask Mike. I'll send him a text.
All right.
I'm not sure he's listening to the paddle match right now. I think he's gearing up for a Jets game tomorrow. Mike, are you a big football fan?
I am a fan. I don't live and die by any one team. You know, I think football is.
Well, thank God.
You know, right? Well, I did. I was born in Detroit, so you know the Lions. You can't really. I mean, and I live in Chicago. I mean, pick your poison, but it's tough to live and die by their teams. That was a fantastic shot, by the way. It a little around the post off of a cutter.
Yeah, nothing to it.
30, all.
Again, Mike, we just see the effortless movement, and Rams and Wagner switch positions. They're all over the place, and they just seem to do it seamlessly.
And I was cut off there. Was that a Adam Morgan two-handed backhand? Or was that a forehand he hit there?
You know what? I
That
was
was
cut
a
off for 1
forehand,
second.
Mike. That was a forehand, but
40, 30.
you roped that though.
So no umpires up in the chairs this today, Mike, because of the wind.
You know, I think safety first. Must have some Boy Scouts in the crew here that wouldn't allow him to get up there. I know I wouldn't. And they're not getting paid enough. There's no hazard pay to get up in that thing at 50 miles an hour.
They need the harness. I know they have a strap that goes across your lap, but they need a over-the-shoulder harness.
Yeah, and a
day
helmet.
like today.
Get them a helmet and a harness. You're right. And I think they ought to have those aluminum seats heated too. You know, we could wire that for heating.
Game. Rams Wagner. They lead the second set. They lead the third set 2-love.
You know, I a couple years ago at that Pro Flight event, we did bring out electric blankets at Fiddler's Elbow.
Oh,
and I
that's
remember
good.
telling Drew Broderick, I go, we got to go electric blankets for these guys. They're freezing up there. And we ran the extension cords, and they were toasty. Made a big difference.
We see here, Rams and Wagner up 2-love in the third, Patty.
Yeah, 2-love. And how about that cutter overhead from Tyler Fraser right there? That ball just died.
You know, I think that's something that we're not seeing in the game as much. I mean, you see amazing spins, but the type of spins, it has changed from what, and I think that might be a product of the ball, but you don't see a lot of those that we just saw there where Tyler was able to get that ball to die on the side screen with so much spin, where it hit the side screen and just dropped. You see a lot more of the kind of the cut winner drop shots instead of that heavy ball hit into the side screen.
Kind of interesting. Rams Wagner just gave up the net on purpose there.
Game. Fraser Morgan. Rams Wagner lead the third set 2-1.
Mike APTA Tour, 13 events, 12 live stream. We've got 4 Grand Prix event. We've got the Chicago Nationals this year right there. I believe it's going to be hosted again right here at Glenview Club.
That is correct. I think we'll be using every court on the North Shore. And it, you know, I mean, we're lucky enough to have, I don't know what the number is, but boy, you have, I think 80 something courts within a 10-minute drive from each other. So it, I mean, as hard as it is to organize the Nationals, that sure makes it a lot easier. And, you know, my good friend John Noble is, you know,
The master.
the master, and he's like Rain Man to assigning courts and draws. And he's like, you know, what time's Wagner? And you're going to be on court 4 at 8 o'clock in Lakeshore Country Club. But big shout out to him for all he does.
Former APTA board member. Yeah, and players love playing nationals in Chicago, Mike. Besides, of course, the warm welcome that we always get from all the Chicagoland players. It's just the number of courts can't be beat, and players, can kind of stay on some kind of a schedule throughout the day. If you're squeezed for courts, it's much tougher as a player to know when you're going to go on next, when you prepare, when do you eat, what clothes are you going to bring, all of that. So having so many courts makes a huge difference for the players.
And
it
I think
brings
the
the
poor
best.
thing is here is that the huts around here are just, I mean, we've really got to up our game, because they're just kind of dumps,
Yeah, the word hut. It's the Taj Mahal. And Exmoor, I mean, there's so many clubs of the month that you see sort of on the APTA website. And, I remember when you hosted us graciously at an APTA board meeting, Mike, and got to play on that court with a different kind of surface out there, experimentation with the radiant heat. But I just was so struck by the sports bar you've got going there at Exmoor.
Yeah, but it's Exmoor. They did it right, but I mean, every club, it's like, boy,
30, 40.
it really has become, like we were talking about earlier, a complete club, experience rather than just a paddle hut. It really is a boon for the sport, but also for the membership. A little frustration from Adam Morgan with that fault to go down 1-3 in the third set. Getting towards crunch time.
Yep, and besides your amazing facility, Mike, a quick story from last year's Team Nationals. I heard about a ladies' team, and they went into the main clubhouse, and they just were struck that no one else was in there, but the facility was so incredible. They all hung out, and then, late in the evening, they found out about your, is it called Oak Room?
Oak House.
Oak House.
The party was across the street.
Yeah, they really were wondering why their team was the only team in the massive women's locker room, but they enjoyed it just as much.
I hadn't heard that one. I would have sent out a search party for them.
It was a Jersey team I heard about. So quarterfinal action in the 50th Chicago Charities event. We're at the Glenview Club. Patty Hogan along with the one and only and wonderful Mike Rowley calling the action here. Following this, I think we'll join the Araya Parsons Kaler Rose match underway on the next court.
Just getting a score from another quarterfinal that Ossig Koenig are up 5-2 on Compton McInerney in the first set.
Lava buns, Mike? I heard the umpires here get lava buns. What's up with that?
Lava buns. Do they really? Wow. I'm going to become an umpire. Patty, when you first saw that, I thought lava buns was like a new version of like cinnamon buns. I was getting hungry, but I think they're like hand warmers, buns warmers. Okay, sorry.
Buns warmers.
Bun
Got
warmers,
it.
yeah.
It's important to keep all body parts warm. Yeah, great overhead from Fraser. You see all that spin and cut he puts on the ball, and they were packed in on the line. Nowhere for Wagner to go with that shot. Oh my
That
Lord!
stayed
What an
in? Are you kidding me?
oh my gosh! What a great shot! I mean, what touch to lob over Philip Rams? Incredible.
Played the win perfectly.
Exactly.
Be interesting to see here if I mean the nature of this game, how it is so such a flow and ebb and flow with momentum, and to have them lose that point after such a great get. See how well Adam responds.
That's another change in the game right there. Rams and Wagner show that they were staying back. Then Rams did his thing, went to the kind of the I formation just up there, and Frazier and Morgan didn't take the bait, Mike. They just stayed back on the baseline.
I like it when I still watching on the ladies' matches on Thursday mornings when they both start back and then they pull the sneak attack and both charge in. I've yet to bring that into my play, but I've been contemplating on trying it. You have a little stampede, you get the double rush. I don't know if you teach that yet, Patty, but I hear that.
Mike, I'm learning from you all the time.
I got another one that I'm bringing out. I don't know when, but it's called lob short and rush the net, where you just both you lob short and rush, and it's still in R&D.
I mean, you got people drinking the Mike Riley Kool-Aid.
Well, no, the thing is the reason it isn't brought out to prime time is I can't get anybody to do it.
Let me get a shield. I'll try it. Mike, I'll try it after you try it first.
Oh, did I get him?
Love 15. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. Sorry, guys. 15 love.
15 love. It must have hit him.
That's Tyler Fraser serving. Adam Morgan at the net. That's Philip Rams returning serve, moving forward like he's done all throughout this match so far. And in all black, Mike Wagner. We referred earlier, these two teams met last year, one time only in Detroit, and Rams Wagner pulled that match out in 3 sets, 6-2 in the third over Fraser Morgan on that day. Fraser and Morgan currently ranked 5th in the country overall, Mike, and looks like Rams and Wagner, number 17 team.
Wow, what a blitz from Rams there. Surprised both Morgan and Frazier.
15, 30.
That was a big city move.
Oh, yeah.
$15.40.
What's smooth? Again, I can't say it enough. How Wagner and Rams just have this thing going, and their movement is just silky smooth.
Well, yeah, like Rams won the point, but Wagner completely covered behind him and set him up.
Update: Humphreys and Osi's Koenig up in their quarterfinal match. They're up the first set. They won it 6-3 against Brian Compton and Graham McNerney.
30, 40.
Just got an update to Raya Parsons versus Kayla and Rose. It's now 1-2 in the first set.
Again, we hear that effective communication between Fraser and Morgan.
I think I might
think
have
I heard-
PTSD if I were playing with him.
Yeah, and just like we've seen throughout the match, Rams and Wagner, you just don't hear much from them. I think they're whisperers. They're paddle whisperers, Mike Riley.
Okay.
Whatever they are, it's they're up 3-2, third set. Quarterfinal action from the Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois.
Boy, well, very good lob. Back to deuce.
Score is 2.
Pretty big point right here, Mike. And again, serve up the middle. Rams Wagner just switch sides. Wagner just handles it beautifully off the screen, and here we go.
You know, with the drive coming from Adam Morgan on the right-hand side of the court, his forehand doesn't seem to me that Rams is able to pick that one up as quick and as cleanly as when the ball's coming from Frazier. You know, you see, he just made a liar out of me.
Except right there.
Except that one time, okay? You know, one shot does not make one time doesn't make it.
Mike, you're right 98% of the time.
You know what? You can't be right all the time, Patty. I got to set myself. You know how disappointed I'd be going around being right all the time.
Yeah, Fraser's serve really effective right into the body of Rams throughout this third set here.
Score is 2.
And Rams just moves to his right so smoothly, so there's no way you can put the serve anyplace else. You've got to just try to jam him and see if you can just handcuff him on the return.
And I wonder if the wind, right now, you're not seeing as many Tyler Frazier lobs down the line. If that's, he's protecting against that wind that's blowing from his right to left that would be taking that ball out.
Yeah, that's a good point, and we've seen it throughout the day, Mike. Just that wind is just really taking some of the lobbing placement, the precision away.
And I'd say, like right there, we had a missed lob long. And, I would be willing to bet that was all due to the wind.
How about that serve again, Mike? Right into his body.
Large
Rams
and in
couldn't-
charge, right into the body.
Yeah.
Score is 2.
And that's, what we've seen a lot of Tyler Frazier the last 2 seasons, where he was the one who pulled the Rams and just got up there and applied that pressure, and Rams just missed trying to go around him.
Saw that time Rams just, bailed out and let the ball, that bomb go to the screen rather than kind of force, showing some maturity there of trying to, hit the same return and make it half the time.
Yeah, it's that maturity thing that kicks in this sport, doesn't it, Mike?
Yeah, I kept waiting for it.
You got to believe.
See,
Be
I keep
patient.
slapping, saying I got to believe I can make that one time. Oh, we've got a ball entering the court.
We know the rule there, Mike. They're playing a let.
Advantage, Frazier. Guys.
Boy, that is fantastic. Some adversity, fought through some adversity there and held the fantastic cutter.
And that's the thing about Frazier. He's got every shot in the book. And that thing to the point about maturity, he kind of has developed into this incredible one of the top players in our men's game because he has matured and figured out when you can do certain things. But I love that he took charge there and saw an opportunity, hit that cutter drop shot, and that's the shot. That's one of the shots that just wasn't in our game 10 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. I was trying it 10 years ago, but I could never make it. I was a bit of an innovator, except I never, I was more the idea man, Patty, instead of the executor of it.
Well, you always had great ideas, and we are at 3-all. Quarterfinals, Chicago Charities from the Glenview Club. First APTA Grand Prix of the year, first of 4. Wow, we had that lined up. Feet so far apart, you just thought it was going to be evil and just missed it. And I think the wind probably had something to do with it, Mike.
Yeah, it was either the wind or the lights. Sometimes the players will lose these balls in these fantastic LEDs.
It's like you. The LEDs are great 98% of the time, but there are those spots where sometimes you're letting that ball drop and boom, the lights are right in your view.
Just got an update, Patty, that Granger and Lambropoulos are up a set 6-3, 3-4 against Durant and Mitchell.
Holy cow, your Chicago guys showing up
They might
big
shock
time.
the world. I don't know. Let's see. I might have to run and go watch some of that match. So if all of a sudden I'm out of here, you'll know why.
You got it? Just send me a text. I'll cover.
Okay.
Yeah, they took out Cherinsky and Christian in the match before, and they are clearly ready for the big time here. You know, you look at the crazy spins from a lot of serves, and then you look at Mike Wagner's and kind of just little push effective serve deep in the box. It just shows there's all different ways to go about it. You
Well,
got to
and he
go with.
also happened, it doesn't hurt that he's got Philip up there taking 80% of those volleys that are just being smoked at him.
Exactly. Wouldn't everyone
And then
love
hitting
to
the
have?
let court drop shot winners. I mean, I'd serve like, you know, like, I mean, I'd be the
Mine
best
is
server
4
out
miles
there.
an hour.
Yeah, well, that guy up there next to me. He's got to put the ball in, though.
Yeah, and that's
Oh,
you know, to
jinxed
your
him
point.
talking about his
Rams,
volleys.
yeah, but he's just picking off everything there. It just didn't quite make it, and all of a sudden, Morgan Fraser up 4-3 in the third set of this quarterfinal match. Mike, I know you've been keeping track of total points won by each team, right? Yeah, right.
Oh,
No,
yeah, of
I'm only
course.
kidding. What do you think? Is it, how close is it?
You know, they say that an interesting stat when Nadal was, I think he'd won the French Open 9 years out of 10, and he'd lost one match at the French Open. Do you know the percentage of points that he won in that kind of reign of losing one match and winning the tournament 9 years out of 10? Take a guess how many points he won. What
Kind of
percentage?
like you, 98%? No, I'm only kidding, Mike. I'm going to guess it's north of 60.
It's 54% of the points.
54%. I was going to say north of 50,
And he
then I
had
was
like a
just thinking,
93% winning percentage. Or
Oh,
something
wow.
crazy like that, where he'd lost one match, but it was 54%. So you don't have to win them all.
two great saves in this point from Fraser out of that ad court.
Love 15.
What volley? Just stuffed Fraser.
Frazier really didn't have any place to go with that ball, but Wagner, with the confidence, just stand in there and stuff him.
Yeah, you just stuffed that volley for a winner. What's the over on Adam Morgan fist pumps in a 3-set match, Mike Rowley?
Well, you know, in the first set, through the first 10 games, he was averaging 1.4 a game.
Okay.
So I'm no mathematician. I'll get my iPhone out here and calculate it. But, I mean, he's north of 35 already right now, closing in on 40, I think. And then at the end of the second set, when he held it, I think that's got to be worth 2.5 more.
At least. Great point. It was a most dramatic one. And Rams and Wagner just pack it in when they're hitting over into that ad corner. You see how far over Mike Wagner slides to his right. And Rams, you know, playing oftentimes in the same service box with their, you know, incredible net coverage here.
But it's a great lesson in you know, the kind of the role of the player that Wagner is on that right-hand side. Even if he wasn't playing with Philip Rams, it's, you know, his job is to, oh boy, that was a tough one.
Handle every volley that comes his way.
You know, and kind of defer to that overhead, that killer overhead in the center of the court.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of that as well, Mike. Just let that ball come out of that ad quarter, and if it's drifting anywhere toward the middle of the net, let the player to the left of the two players at the net have at it and show us what variety of their overheads they can unleash on their opponents there. Yeah, you don't see anyone stepping in front of anyone to hit a ball here.
Wow, some nice little probing drives that have gotten 2 errors off of solid backcourt play.
Yeah, beautiful shot and held to the last second there from Frazier, and he had Wagner thinking he might go up with that ball and waited till the last second, kept it low, and forced the volley error off of Wagner. We've not seen very much at all today. It's Tyler Frazier in the ad court in the brown T-shirt. That's Adam Morgan with the gray pants, navy top over in that deuce court. Philip Rams hitting the overhead in the light blue with the white hat right there, and Mike Wagner in all black. Mike, are you getting the smells from the barbecue into the that warming hut over there?
No, the wind's too heavy. Yeah, So
It's
the
blowing right on by.
Yeah, it's right. It's just air mailing me. Great cover. Maybe a little bit ambitious with this placement with that drive off that crease. Adam Morgan. Still game point here, 40-30. Serve was called out. Umpire confirmed. Back to deuce.
Oh, what a beautiful rip up the line from Wagner.
Wow. That was worthy of a fist pump. Great cover there from Adam Morgan where he slides to the middle of the court. Defend that drive coming out of Wagner's corner.
Mike, any update on the score and the Durant Mitchell against the Chicago guys match?
I have not seen that, but it appears that the Compton McInerney, they're putting on their sweatpants. I think that match is over. I don't have a score, but
Humphreys won the first set.
6-3,
So
6-love. Humphreys
6-3,
and Osis Koenig over Compton McInerney. With 3 serving 5 here, Patty.
yep,
Crunch
3-5.
time.
Like we said, Mike, so little separates these two teams. Frazier Morgan, slight edge. It's the number 4 seed in this tournament, and Wagner Rams, number 5.
that ball moved the entire width of the court, about half of the way across the court with the wind on the last lob.
You know, Mike, I watched this match and you talk about the changes in the sport and how it's evolved, and just because of the athletic ability of these players, it's like, how many unbelievable shots do you have to hit in 1 point to win it? A ton.
Yeah, I mean, they always said, how many winners do you have to? How many times do you have to win the point against? Like right there, it's a great example of Tyler getting that ball back, and then they have to hit a cut winner to win it. I mean, it's like playing Nadal on red clay. You got to win the point 3 times to win a point. I think a good lesson for the viewers at home, or that are playing the game. You see, Rams hit 3-4 overheads in a row to the same player, but he never gives the same look. Never gives the same shot twice in a row. He might hit it to the same spot, but he changes his pace or changes his spin. Kind of, as a fan of the game, fun to watch.
Yeah, and talk about the grip changes, and I think that's a great point, Mike. He's still sticking with the target over there at Fraser, going after him in the ad court, but because of the grip change, among many other things, he's giving Tyler Fraser all he can handle in that ad court corner.
Yeah, it's speed, spins, and slight location changes. Boy, one of the few times that we've seen Tyler be able to sneak in and take that on the rise big surprise with his two-hander.
Got a match point, Mike, here for Morgan and Fraser.
I was just checking my math to make sure. And there we go. Game, set, and match.
Fraser Morgan, 3-6, 6-3, 6-3.
Well, Patty, you called it from the beginning. That was a fantastic match that we knew was going to go the distance, and it sure did. I think they might be a little disappointed, but the fans here are loving it.
Oh, yeah, that was great action, and we're going to wrap it up here quickly, Mike, and we're going to be back in a couple minutes to bring you the quarterfinal matchup that's underway between Juan Araya, Mark Parsons, and Scott Kaler and Paul Rose. We'll be right back.
Okay, see you in a bit.
Thanks, Mike.
From the heart of Chicago up to the North Shore and stretching from the northwest suburbs down to Kankakee. From urgent in-office care to virtual in-home visits, we're making orthopedic care available wherever and however you need it. Because while we're adapting our lives to keep each other safe, we know that new injuries will happen and old injuries will still linger. And IBJI is here to help.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike.
Okay. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Oh, welcome back here, sports fans. We're at the Glenview Club, joining a match that was in progress between Wanaraya and Mark Parsons, Scott Kaler, and Paul Rose. Kaler and Rose won the first set 7-5 in the first set tiebreaker. And they have graciously agreed to move to our live streaming court. I'm joined with Patty Hogan.
Hi again, Mike. And as we saw on the screen there, Raya and Parsons are number 2 seeds. Rose and Kaler are number 8 seeds. And we just finished up that exciting 3-set match won by Fraser Morgan. And then we're joined here. And, I mean, what a treat. Back-to-back amazing matches from the Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois. And you're in for a treat here. It looks like Wanaraya will be serving. From the baseline there in the orange hat, representing Tennessee, perhaps, Mark Parsons. And returning serve, Scott Kaler out of the deuce court from Pittsburgh, and then Chicago's own Paul Rose over in the ad court.
Patty, what are the odds that we have, 3 of the 4 players, I believe, prefer to hit their backhands, is that right? I know at least Parsons and Rose. Scott Kaler, does he have a backhand, or am I making that up?
Whatever you say, Mike, you're 98% correct. So
I am right. Probably 2 out of 3 times I'm right, and then of those other 1 times I'm wrong. I'm sometimes it's 50-50 from there. So
thanks, Yogi Berra. Last year, Chicago Charities, first place. Wanaraya and Mark Parsons. They beat Compton and McNerney in last year's final, 4-4. Compton and McNerney didn't get out of the quarters, did they, Mike? Did they go out?
They did. They just lost.
Got stuff. Humphreys and Osik Koning took them out.
I think it was 6-3, 6-love.
So we will definitely not have a repeat from last year's finals. I think of Chicagoland. I think of that Compton, former Chicago guy, that two-handed backhand. Paul Rose's two-handed backhand. Who else is in that conversation from who you've got out there, Mike Riley?
Definitely not me, but it might be something in the water. I mean, Paul Rose's brother, Pete, has got a great two-handed backhand. Both members here at the Glenview Club.
Yeah, what did their parents feed them?
I don't know. I really don't, because and then Ben McKnight is another Glenview Club member here, that longtime player. He's got a great two-hander. I don't know. They're breeding two-handers.
Yeah, Raya held to go up 1-love in the first game of this second set. Scott Kaler is out of Pittsburgh. Kaler was a former Blanchard Cup winner, winning with Brian Compton in the 2019-2020 season. Kaler Compton played Nationals last year, went out in the 16s to Nathan Lefevre. But they are such a tough team. And I love watching these guys play, Mike. I don't see them play that often. I saw them in Montclair, and they just had a most amazing match. They ended up losing to, in a third set, breaker after having several match points. And I believe it was the quarterfinals.
That was Kaler and Rose?
Kaler and Rose. They lost to Broderick and Max Leprevert. And I think Leprevert and Broderick saved 3 match points. And Kaler and Rose, I mean, they had it on their paddles. And kind of struggled, had back-to-back misses in that match. I was watching a little bit toward the end. Just incredible. They had it right there. But kudos to Broderick and Max Le Prévert, who found a way to get themselves out of a gigantic hole there.
15 love.
Patty,
There it is,
so we've got two teaching pros, Juan Araya and Mark Parsons. Where are they out east? What clubs?
So Juan is out of Greenwich Country Club in Connecticut, and Mark Parsons is at Aspetuck Valley Country Club, also in Connecticut. Not that far from each other.
Okay. And then,
Yeah, Kaler is a former teaching pro, and I think he's into coding now. And Paul Rose, another
he's
non-teaching
in
professional.
the family business, I think they have a meat business that the Rose brothers are in. Now, it'd be interesting to see how many we saw Juan missing the overhead, and clearly the ball, was affected by the wind. But to see he takes such a vicious, swipe at most of his overheads with that killer spin. See how that, again, the factors of the weather play into, the effectiveness of that shot. Now, would you say that Juan Araya has a good poker face, Patty? I mean, if you were to, play poker with him?
Not exactly. Parsons would be my pick in poker.
Yeah, or maybe Wagner.
Wagner or Parsons would be on my top two.
Okay, I wouldn't picture, Juan or, Adam Morgan.
Yeah. There's a lot of emotion that comes from those guys, and you kind of feel their energy go up and down, and you watch the waves, and like we talk about all great teams, they complement each other with skills and temperaments, and that's what you see. Parsons, another two-handed backhand, just rock solid there.
Taylor Rose. Games are 1-all. Second set.
Little volley error. Araya Parsons last year went out in the quarters of nationals to Morgan and Fraser. That was their, reaching a semi was a huge win for Adam and Tyler, and you can see why after that match. These guys were Philadelphia Open last year. They finished third. They also lost that match to Fraser Morgan. Short Hills Invitational, they went out in the semis to Burris Ordoya. Boston, they went out to Durant Mitchell. Westchester, they went out to Hughes Powers. I mean, these guys are freaking amazing. They only lose to the game's best. They're another one of those teams that have the luxury of kind of being at the top of the men's game and, capable of beating anybody in any given match.
Love. Dirty 15.
I think Parsons, one of his great strengths is that, again, talk about, he wrote the book on role playing, where he is an absolute, rock star of a partner that, he's got all the shots, of course, but, he played with Johan and won how many national titles with Johan? 2? Was it 2?
two titles in
Two
2013 and 2014.
You know, and
2000, yeah, 2011 with Mike Stulak. Great point, Mike. I mean, he wins with it, whomever, and he helped Araya. You know, they teamed up to capture their first national. Gave Juan his first win in men's nationals out in Pittsburgh.
yeah, and you look at the kind of the partners that he's been able to almost be like a chameleon and change the way that he plays within that partnership. I mean, I think that he doesn't get. I'm sure he gets credit, but I think that's one of the things that I find really interesting, and he should be commended for, is his ability to play with, you know, different partners and different styles, and yet perform.
Yeah, he does what's necessary. He's, you know, not the flashiest kind of player, but certainly one of our game's greatest players of all time, in my opinion.
No, it's one thing to win, you know, a national title and win 5 with 3 different partners.
Yeah, I think he's got 4 nationals.
4 is okay.
I'll have to check. I'll see
4
what
or
my
5.
stat person comes up with. Just a second. I'm that stat person.
Okay.
Love.
Parsons, 2013 with Johan. 2014 with Johan.
40, love.
Pittsburgh with Juan. Mike Stulak. 2011. I think he's got 4, Mike.
Okay.
I think Broderick's got 4 in the current game. Johan's got the lead.
Games are 3-1, second set.
But to your point, Parsons he's not underrated. We all know he's phenomenal. He is one of the greatest players in our game of all time. And you're right. Kind of like we saw in that last match. Great teams have, you know, roles that the players have to kind of take on. And, you know, you saw Mike Wagner in that last match, just totally the perfect complement to someone like a Philip Rams and that style of play, as well as, you know, Morgan and Frazier. They can each kind of pick up where the other one left off and just team up. No ego involved, just, you know, trying to get it done.
Yeah. And
Maybe a little ego, but you know what I'm saying. They
right. And I don't think
as long as their team wins. Sorry.
I don't think that Parsons is. I didn't mean to say that he was underrated. I don't think. You know, I was just pointing out how incredible it is to be able to win multiple national titles with multiple partners.
Yeah,
wow.
you know, and Mike, you know, when I think about, you know, you think about Orion and the success he had, you know, it took his teaming up with Mark Parsons to get over the finish line and win his first national title. But Araya's, you know, he's a freak of nature, plays in a million events, and has had huge success playing with anyone and everyone in this game. Mike, a quick shout out to Brian and Carol Keating, some paddle members up here in Ticonderoga, New York, and they're enjoying listening in on the action, and I encourage them to watch the live stream so they get a real sense of what the game looks like, you know, when played by the very best. I tried to send them a video of you, Mike Rowley, but I couldn't find one.
Yeah, you could not.
Mike, you're ranked in the top 10 for years.
Not for years, a few years.
I mean,
Yeah.
more than 1 year. Years.
Yeah, there you go. Years. Okay. Yeah.
Years, Yogi
I was
Berra.
lucky
Back
enough
to the
to have
mat.
some good partners that carried me.
Now, you're a hell of a player in your own right, Mike.
30 all.
I know you're humble, but you're outstanding. Always loved watching you play.
Patty, I got to talk to you more because you're doing great stuff for my confidence. Do me a favor and call my wife too and tell her how great I am.
Yes, send me her cell. We'll have a quick chat.
All right. You know, the spouse of a rackets professional, Patty. A funny quick story. One year we were playing in the finals of a tournament, and I think she had something she couldn't be watching me and cheering me on, and I was driving home, and she said, "When are you going to be home?" And not how'd you do, dear? How'd it go? It was, when were you going to be home? So we might have had some young kids at home or something, but
Exactly. And are you going to pick up the milk?
right. Get the eggs and milk, please.
Well, any spouse of a teaching professional, we know, has to have total appreciation and an incredible amount of patience for the schedules that are thrown our ways, in this profession at all times.
That's right. So true. See a little failed blitz from Raya. It's fun to watch. Raya and kind of fits the same mold of Rom and Tyler Frazier. Just very. They're always on the move. They're always creating kind of that chaos that goes for their opponents. Different court positions and spins and.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that I didn't have to make my pick before this match went on air, Mike, because I might have gone with the higher seeds here. But, Rose and Kaler bringing it and won that first set 7-6, and they're up 4-1 second set. And we'll see if Parsons and Araya have the grind in them today and, the willingness to try to figure out a winning formula here. Kaler's an ultimate role player. I've seen him play for years, and he teamed up with different players, including Brian Compton. They made it to the semis out in Pittsburgh Nationals. More of kind of defensive-minded, I would say. But he can pull the trigger, and really phenomenal volleyer. Will get on top of the net. Fears no drive. And here in Paul Rose, they believe in each other. They, after that Montclair going out with 3 match points, and I thought they had that match won. I think they got something to prove.
Well, that's always something that's tough to,
15 love.
They got to kind of hopefully learn from something like that and then move on. I just got word that Durant Mitchell won in the third set. I don't have the score yet, but hot off the presses.
They took out your Chicago boys.
They did. But again, I'm sure that Mitch Granger and Alex Lambropoulos will be extremely pleased with their performance and learn something. My dad always said you learn more from a loss than you do a win. But
yep. And that win, Mike, with Durant and Mitchell, that puts them into the. They're going to be in the semis against Fraser Morgan, and that's on the bottom half of the draw, I believe. This match, winner of this will go out, and looks like they're going to be playing Humphreys and Osses Koenig. And that's tonight. More action coming your way.
More action coming your way.
Did you send your wife a text, Mike?
Well, she said, what time are you going to be home? And I said, I don't know. They got lights there, so we might be here a while.
You might have to get the milk and eggs yourself.
Yeah. I said, but don't worry. You get to spend an extra hour. And that's a good reminder to everybody at home. You fall back, spring forward, get an extra hour of sleep. See, Patty, you're learning here. What did we learn earlier? The Windy City? A little reminder about falling back.
Exactly. That's why they've got you, Mike, involved out here. And
yeah, and,
it's that wisdom and maturity that you bring to the table at all times. Right back with you. No, we have a great time, and we're lucky to be involved in this sport. We're passionate about it. And you have a 20-year run out there at Exmoor. You were at Saddle and Cycle before that. How many years were you Saddle and Cycle, Mike?
5 years.
Wow.
And before that, I was up in Lake Forest. Came to Chicago to work with Rodney Workman.
The one and only
The
Rodney
one and
Work.
only.
Called a lot of matches with Rod over the years. I think he's out of town. Otherwise, I think we might have gotten him in the booth here.
Just got word that the score of the Durant-Mitchell match was 3-6, 6-3, 6-3.
Game, Araya Parsons. Taylor Rose lead 4 games to 2, second set.
Sounds like Rob LeBoon, umpire, Mike.
That is Rob. Yes, ma'am.
Love 15.
You know, fun fact, Rob LeBoon had one of the, I don't know if he's still, I haven't played with him in years, but he was one of the guys that I used to be afraid of when he would hit a forehand because he did heavy flat ball that I could never tell where it was going. And he hammered that thing. I have to get it back on the court with him and see if he's still got it.
Look at that lob from Araya. Got both players, got both Kaler and Rose going for that ball, and they were able to take over the net. Mark Parsons. You know, there's always a little bit of debate about the strongest forehand in the Parsons family, and Dana Parsons, who helps with fusion, doing a great job with fusion. Some would argue her forehand might be better.
15 all.
I always say that, whether it's true or false, Mike. It doesn't matter. I just say stuff. But Dana
I think
could
it's bigger.
smack it.
I've heard it was bigger too. Funny, Patty, I just got a text from my wife. What time are you going to be home? You want to call her now? I'll cover for you for about next 90 seconds. Just say. It's good to be wanted. I mean, that, you know, I got to look at it that way.
Yeah, everyone would
But
want to
duty
have
calls.
you home, Mike.
I'd like to shout out to Matt Wurzel. I just got a text from him saying you're doing a great job to Patty Hogan. He didn't have your cell phone, but he said, will you
30,
tell her she's doing a great job? And he told me to stop talking, so.
No, you're doing a great job. And your wife just texted me, and she said, seriously? How much longer is Mike's going to be there?
And I'll tell Matt I get paid by the word, so I can't stop talking.
You get paid by the word? That's so weird. I get paid by the match.
Oh, boy, I didn't know. See a little momentum shift here.
40, 15.
Right in the ship.
What a little hands play from Araya.
Golly, that's insane.
Oh, what?
Game, Araya Parsons. Taylor Rose lead 4 games to 3, second set. Taylor Rose won the first set, 7 games to 6. Got a new ball for you, Mark.
Hey, Mike, should we give a quick shout out to Paddle Pro?
I think we should. Do you know, Patty, that for over 20 years, Paddle Pro has been recognized as an industry leader in the platform tennis? The knowledge, expert advice, vast inventory, and ultimate customer service will help any player find the perfect equipment to take your game to the next level. And, you know, secondary to that, Paddle Pro is the only website to carry all platform tennis brands. For more information, you can go to paddlepro.com. Great spotted drive to the chicken wing of Rose for an error.
You know, and that's what Araya can do. He just holds those shots in his wrist, and he just, like, snaps the ball, comes off his paddle, and he can make awesome volleyers. look real vulnerable up there as he did to Paul Rose on that shot.
Ouch.
Wow.
15 all.
I love that shot from Paul Rose. Glad Parsons is okay. A couple years ago, you didn't see Paul Rose hit that shot, and I love how he let that ball drop and just crush it, and it was unreturnable by Mark Parsons, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, and I think that, it kind of, we mentioned that in the prior match about that evolution of the kind of that cut winner.
Ooh. And you talk about
30,
Kaler.
15.
Little sneaky offense. Just,
Yeah, that's just sneaky Pete on that drive. It just surprised I don't think it was the force of it.
No, and I think he just held it and a little deception, and he had Parsons thinking one thing, and Parsons was pretty upright. Usually he'll have his feet wide apart and kind of get down for his volleys, and got caught up there and got hit. Huge moment in the match right here for Rose and Kaler. Well, also obviously for Ryan Parsons, but I mean, as the slight underdogs here, they're in great shape. They won the first set in that tiebreaker by a score of 7-5, and they're up for 5-3 here in the second set. Beautiful placement from little backhand lob from Kaler, caused a little bit confusion. Parsons and Uriah switch courts on the baseline there. Don't seem like they're in a rush to go back anytime soon. Maybe just trying to give a different look. See if they can't offset some of the control that Kaler and Rose clearly have as the net team.
Filthy cut overhead.
The second cut winner from Paul Rose in this game. Again, little short hop pickup. Two-handed backhand from Juan.
Boy, that was something.
15 all.
Wow, how did Uriah get out of the way?
I don't know,
Hitting
and that is
return?
Kaler's forehand. I mean, he loves that forehand drive that kind of gets up shoulder high, and I wouldn't say it's a traditional, shot, but boy, when that ball is in that spot, he absolutely hits it very well to great positions. Surprised he missed it.
Wow, Rose's shot just caught the line there, looked like. Made me a little nervous. Really impressed by the Rose overhead.
30 all.
And it's deceptive because he can take from that same presentation and he can slash it kind of deep and low, and he can also kind of cut it where the bottom drops out and it, wow.
Wow, and we have a match point for Kaler and Rose here.
Great play by Uriah.
Dude. Advantage, Mr. Rose.
Second match point on Paul Rose's paddle. Wow, what a shot from Uriah up the line.
What match point? I think.
Yeah, really.
Kaler
Great
with a
wheel
great
for
get.
Kaler to come up with that shot, Mike.
Oh my gosh. What a point.
Kaler Rose, 7-6, 6-3.
Well,
Mike Raleigh, what an amazing win. I love that we have a Chicago guy who earned a berth here in semifinals in a little while. And, Uriah Parsons and tournament number 2 seeds. maybe not a surprise for people in Chicago, but sort of a surprise in the paddle world, I would guess.
I think, Paul Rose he's a competitor, and we know Scott Kaler is a competitor, and I just they played a little bit tighter. Didn't give there's a few free points there and there, but boy, shout out to all the competitors. I thought that was a great second set we got to watch.
Yeah, Mike, and to your point, rock solid play. Didn't look like anything too spectacular, but I love the addition of the slice, cutter overhead from Rose, and they have earned themselves a berth, and they'll play the winner of the Humphreys Osakoning. That's who they're going to play, and match will be. I'm not sure, Mike. Do you have word on when that match will be?
Hold on, we can find out when that match is going to be.
9:30.
It's going to be 9:30 Central Time.
It's going to be a late night in Chicago. Well, Mike Rowley, thanks so much. I think we should wrap it up here from the Chicago Charities quarterfinals and look forward to more action underway shortly.
All right, we'll see y'all soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Patty.
From the heart of Chicago up to the North Shore and stretching from the northwest suburbs down to Kankakee. From urgent in-office care to virtual in-home visits, we're making orthopedic care available wherever and however you need it. Because while we're adapting our lives to keep each other safe, we know that new injuries will happen and old injuries will still linger. And IBJI is here to help.